Everyone wants to increase their orgasmic capacity and sexual pleasure. However, if we're focusing on strength, we're going about it in completely the wrong way. Watch this amazing Instagram live where I outline how posture, sensory awareness, and flexibility really are the keys to unlocking your pleasure. Hi, my name is Laura, and on this channel, I help you gain optimal health through knowledge and movement. Hello, everybody. Oh, hello. I'm so happy to see everyone. I'm getting my tripod set up so I can have plenty of hand space so I can answer all of your pelvic floor questions. Hello. So great to see everyone. I'm going to be on here for the next 30 minutes. I am really pumped. Hello, Missy. I'm wondering from those of you who are joining me if you have any pelvic floor questions. I posted on Laura Myhofer, which is, I'm the one who founded Clitoris Collective, and, I had posted not too long ago, hello everyone, a question having people get a chance to ask me all things about their pelvic floor. And so I wanted to give people an opportunity to come on and ask some questions about the pelvic floor. So for Clitoris Collective on here, we share a lot of information that's very sex positive. Yes, so we have a question coming in about, do Kegel exercises help? So my answer to that is it depends. So sometimes people have overly tight pelvic floor muscles, and if we Kegel, or a Kegel is just a tightening of your pelvic floor, you can actually have things be not as effective. So meaning your orgasm might not be as strong. You might actually cause yourself to have more urinary incontinence. You might cause more constipation or back pain. So with that, I think doing pelvic floor exercises or Kegels, tightening, I like to couple it with other forms or types of exercise. So that might be things like pelvic floor muscle awareness or sensory awareness around your vulva or penis, as opposed to always focusing on strengthening, because always focusing on strengthening might not be the right thing for you. So I see someone in here said, that's me, OMG, yes. And my question back to the individual who said, do Kegels help? Like I said, I would be interested to know, what are your goals? Really interestingly, I just announced today that I have a workshop where it's 2 hours long, and I'm offering 2 times, and we actually delve into how you can understand your pelvic floor better. So I show you how you can assess your own pelvic floor, figure out what your baseline is. Are you overly tight or are you overly weak? And then show you how to work in your own home program. So it's pretty neat. And it dives into these exact questions of, do I need to strengthen? Well, that can depend. And if you don't want to pay the money to go to a physical therapist, or you don't have the time, then I can show you how to do that stuff at home, which is really, really awesome, because I'm here to empower you and to help you ultimately save money and have as much enjoyment as humanly possible. So I think that that's really, really awesome. So going back on this kind of Kegel train, we'll say, I want people to sort of envision if you walked around holding your shoulders up like this all day long, tightening your upper trap muscles, tight all day long. Do you think you'd be able to move your neck? I mean, if you just practice in the comfort of your home or wherever you're watching this right now, if my arms are up like this or shoulders are up like this, and then I go to move, I can't really move. So if our clitoris, which lays within the two layers of layers 1 and 2, and then we have deeper nerve endings that go to create that G-spot. And then even if we're thinking about it for the penis, and how all of those nerves go down into the phallus and around the scrotum, if we constantly have a tight pelvic floor, how can those nerves move and get excited and get stimulated if they're stuck in a kind of tight environment? So just like our neck. So you can think of your neck is like your clitoris, or you can think of your neck is like your penis. And if it's stuck and it can't really move, then we're not going to be able to have that arousal and that orgasm and that pleasure. So it's really important to know where you fall. And I love that I had another person say, oh my gosh, I have tight upper traps too. And this is making sense. So interestingly, your neck, what's happening at your neck, your vocal cords and your jaw can be a great indication of what's happening at your pelvic floor. So because we are a society that tends to do everything in front of us, so I'm on my phone all the time, so I'm constantly kind of sitting and looking like this. All of that forward curved motion makes us lose our posture. And when we lose our posture, it actually can put more stress and strain through our pelvic floor. So having a nice upright open posture, again, is going to take that stress and strain off of the pelvic floor. So I find this so fascinating. I am such an anatomy nerd. I love it. And because I love it so much, I added an additional thing to my course. So if you sign up before next Friday, I actually have a whole workshop where I teach you about your core canister and how keeping that upright posture is so beneficial. And then I give you an exercise progression so that you can start to work on that. And that will help with having an overly tight pelvic floor, and that will help on improving your posture and having better function. And when we have better function, we have better sex. We can interact in our life a lot better. So that's kind of another thing that I'm really, really, really excited about, because I have all this information up here and I just want to get it to you guys out there. So great question. Yes, good posture is super, super important. And much like your pelvic floor or your shoulders, how I don't want you stuck like this, your posture, you should be able to move into and out of different positions, and you should be able to have strength in these different positions. But because again, as a society, we're on computers, we are looking at kids, we're looking at cell phones. I've been watching Schitt's Creek, so I've been like, just like binge watching TV. So I've been slouching on my couch, just chilling. All of those things kind of will cause us to have this poor posture. And what will happen is some muscles become weak and some muscles become overly tight. And when we see that imbalance start to happen, when we get tightness through our front and weakness through our back, then we start to, it's harder to get this upright, open position or posture. And so you can do all the workouts in the world to get, say, core or stomach stability and strength. But if you're having a hard time getting into the correct position to work those muscles, well, then that's where we start to have some difficulty. So yes, so posture is really, really important. I think that it's something that is not talked about enough, because if it's something that I can easily add into my workout routine, I can easily think about it and start to work on it without even having to do too much. So I have another one. Okay, so we had a good question come in. Is it unhealthy to need a lot of clenching, for lack of a better word? Clenching is perfect, to be able to orgasm, both for a penis and a vagina. Would that signify a weak pelvic floor? So it does make sense. So when you say clenching or tightening, what you're doing is, if you have a vagina, when you clench, you're really trying to squeeze around, say, a penis, a dildo, a vibrator. Even if something isn't internal, if something is external, you're really trying to squeeze. And when you're squeezing, again, we're trying to get that nerve excitation. So one of the things that I will work on with people is, can you kind of squeeze and partially let go? Squeeze and partially let go. So that will allow blood flow into those muscles. Blood flow will allow for engorgement, and with engorgement, we get more squeezing and tightening. So there are some amazing pictures on Instagram, and maybe we can share one either tonight or tomorrow on the feed or something. We'll see where you have it shows like a vulva pre stimulation and then post stimulation, and it shows how much those tissues kind of fill with blood flow. So it's not bad, but it is something that I'll have people work on while they're masturbating, to see, as you start to get excited, as you think you might be getting closer to orgasm, can you focus on that deep breathing, and can you focus on kind of releasing those muscles a little bit and tightening them and almost doing a slow flutter, and I bet you'll start having a more powerful orgasm. If you look at my YouTube channel, which is Laura Myhofer LLC, you can get to the link in my bio. I actually have a guided meditation for arousal and orgasm, which is awesome. Now, the thing with having a penis and clenching those muscles, same thing is true. We want to have strength and tightening in those muscles, but we want to be able to have that muscle pumping action, because an orgasm actually is an involuntary fluttering or spasming of those muscles. Not a spasming like if you've ever had a Charlie horse, but it's actually a spasming of those muscles, which is pretty cool. So if you're, again, just holding tight, 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 and you don't let that blood flow come in, and you don't let those nerves and those tissues have some flexibility, which will allow those, the nerves to get stimulated, well, then we start to have like some issues there. So same thing is true. If you have a phallus, you might have to think about the cueing a little bit differently. So if I'm talking to someone with a vulva, I might say, I want you to think about opening the vagina and closing the vagina, opening the vagina, closing the vagina. For someone with a phallus or a penis, I might ask them to like raise and lower their penis, if that works, if that visually can work for them. And it is a lot of things to think about. So I will have people do this when they are masturbating or when they're alone. And then I always like to say we practice how we play. I'm a former athlete, so same concepts here. And we go ahead and build on that. And these are some of the concepts that I am really delving into in these workshops and my online offerings that we're gonna start to offer more and more and more through Laura Meyhofer LLC. So if you haven't already signed up for the newsletter, whether you identify as male, female, or anyone in between, any gender, anything like that, we are a super, super, super inclusive group. I do have a team of people that help me, and they are amazing. And so the newsletter is geared towards everyone, and the website, we are working really, really hard to create more content that is geared towards everyone. So signing up for that newsletter is a great way, because I am constantly putting out free information, whether it's on Laura Meyhofer for Instagram, or whether it's on Clitoris Collective, Instagram. My YouTube has great things. And then of course my website. So I love that. Thank you so much for that question. I know sometimes on these Instagram lives, it can be a little bit scary to like go out there and say your question, but I really appreciate it, because I just want to give you all what you are looking for. So I think one thing that is really interesting, and I know we've been talking about pelvic floor and tightening, and I'd like, maybe you guys can send me hearts, but I'm interested to know how many of you, when you're getting like intimate, whether you're alone or with a partner, do you like go right to like the goods, like right to the clitoris, right to the penis, right to the testicles? Or do you spend some time maybe like checking the sensations around the tummy, checking the sensations around the thighs, or do you go right to the goods? So hearts if you go right to the goods. Okay, so hearts if you spend some time on like the inner thighs and the tummy and like warming up. Okay, so a few hearts. Okay, we've got no, I like to tease. Oh, perfect. All right. Well, I shouldn't, you know what? This is a sex positive account. So I am so, claps to you guys. Claps. Because I think one of the biggest things that is fascinating to me is how people tend to go right to the goods. And I like to do both, depends on the mood. And I have really been trying to start to expand in this sensory awareness. So there's this thing that I haven't released yet, so you're hearing about it just like on here. I love it. Is sensate focused exercises. So what I will have people do, or I like to call it like sensory mapping, But basically, you're working on utilizing all of your senses to find other areas of your body that are just as that are, I don't want to even say erogenous zones, because you're not necessarily assigning, oh, this feels good or bad, but you're starting to bring curiosity to it. I love it. I love the hearts. So I find this so interesting because so many people forget to kind of explore how does it feel when you touch my arm, like the front of my arm versus the inside of my arm. How does that feel? How can we kind of expand this area of our body from just this one spot that is where our pelvic floor lives, and can we bring it out further into our thighs, into our tummy, around to our bottom? And so I love that y'all are already doing that, because maybe I need to bring this up more on my other IG live that I'm going to pop on at 7:45 on the Laura Myhofer account. Like I said, I'm so proud of y'all. So I am going to be putting out some more information about that, because I think that it's something that we're missing, and I'm curious to see how the pandemic might change that. The other account, you said pin it. Okay, let me see. I'm going to write it in the comments section if that's pin it. This is the first time someone's asked me to do that. Thank you. It came up as Clitoris Collective since I'm signed in there. So you can pop over there too. But it's so interesting to me how so many people, they might think of things like, oh gosh, do I need to get do I need to go to my kitchen cabinets and get food and things like that? I mean, I think that's great. Totally do those things. Someone said a lot of people seem to be super horny during lockdown. I'm seeing like a 50-50 split. I'm seeing some people, and I'm seeing a lot of people not so much, because they're like always around their partner. They're maybe not getting a chance to like get zhuzhed up. And so I'm having a lot of people ask me questions about how can we start to incorporate and add fun in, instead of doing these, like our usual regular thing. So I have another really interesting thing that I want to tell y'all about. So did you know that when you are thinking about sex drive and all that, I want to kind of touch on this piece of super horny. When we think of our sex, like our sex drive, think of it as a car. And so you have a brake pedal and you have a gas pedal. And so if someone has a lower libido, or they're not really horny, or they're not really in the mood, a lot of times we think that we have to put more pressure or more weight on the gas pedal. So dinner's out, more time in the bedroom, all of these things. But in actuality, to get your sex drive to move forward, you need to take more weight off of the brake pedal. So if your brake pedal, which many of us are finding in lockdown, is pushed totally down to the floor, and you say give someone flowers or go out to eat or have a nice phone call, and maybe that's only 10 to 15 pounds of pressure, it's not going to make up for the 100 pounds of pressure that is on the brake pedal. So the biggest thing to do is you have to take some of that weight off of that brake pedal. So what I will have people do as an exercise, and if you are not like the individual who's super horny all of the time, I think it would be interesting for y'all to write down what might be some things on your brake pedal. So it might be, I had one person say they couldn't get privacy from their kids. So what they had to do was they had to add a lock onto their bedroom door. And I had another person say their partner liked to have like early morning sex, and they just were not a morning person. They felt gross, all of these things. So they had to have a conversation about how to figure out a time when to have sex when they weren't totally exhausted. So I think that these things are so interesting and so unique that when you're maybe dealing with some sexual dysfunction, or when you're wanting to get more in tune with your own body or more in tune with your partner's body, sometimes you don't always have the words to do that. And so my website offers a lot of free resources, and then these workshops that I have, specifically the one coming up, will touch on how to look more into these things. Yes, we had someone say stress too. So I would want you to kind of unpack, what is that stress? So for example, for me, starting my business right now, I would kind of loop or kind of put all of this together as stress. But what it might be is I need some uninterrupted time to do XYZ. And if my boyfriend can give me that uninterrupted time, then I can schedule in time with him. And having that schedule, which is not his preference or his preferred way, actually relieves a lot of stress from me. We had another really great comment come in. My doctor gave me lidocaine with dilators to use because I've been having pain with any type of friction. Would you recommend using the lidocaine? I'm nervous to numb and then I won't feel my pain. That is a great question. So just so people kind of know, a dilator is usually they can be soft and flexible, or they can be rigid and hard. And they start as small as my pinky, and then they can go up to much larger. And the idea is that they gently stretch the vaginal opening, and they can be used for a lot of different reasons. And so I would say using the lidocaine as a tool to help stretch is something that I would be okay with. And then I would want to see, is it something I can gradually ease out of it? I would recommend, though, that it would be really, really good to make sure that you're working with a good PT to kind of hold your hand along in that process, to make sure that you're checking in and getting those tissues nice and happy, and that you're progressing with the dilators like you should. If you have any questions about that, I have 2 videos about dilators, and you can always pop on over to my Laura Myhofer account and maybe shoot me a message on there if you need to find a local PT to help you. So I have about 2 minutes left on here before I'm going to be going over to the @Laura Myhofer account, which I will put in the comments again, which is the other account that I live at. So I founded this Clitoris Collective account as a wonderful sex positive account where we can get some fun information, get some laughs in, but also get some really great evidence-based info in front of you. Can you give some tips on how to do some pelvic floor exercises? Yes, I can. So I really go in depth into this in the workshop. The workshop is there's 2 dates, August 15th and August 16th. So you can sign up for either date. And if you sign up before Friday, there are 4 amazing pre-registration deals where there's like a workshop, there's workbooks, there's all these amazing things. You can check that out with the link in my bio on this Clitoris Collective account. So a great thing to do for your exercises is I want you to think about tightening your pelvic floor as if you're trying to stop the flow of urine or as if you're trying to not pass gas, okay? So this is pelvic floor tightening. You should feel a squeeze or a lift, okay? Then I want you to release that. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to focus on pushing down. So trying to take that lift motion, and I want you to do the opposite and make the pelvic floor go down. If you're having trouble feeling these motions, you can roll up a towel like the size of my wrist and sit on it like a saddle. Okay, and put it on like a hard chair and sit with nice upright posture and then relax your butt cheeks. That overpressure of the towel will help you appreciate getting the correct motions of I'm tightening and I feel a lift versus I'm bearing down and I'm feeling an expansion and a dropping. So knowing the directions of those two movements is the most important. It was so amazing chatting with all of you. You're incredible. I'm going to go pop over onto Laura Myhofer, my other account, and I'm going to start that IG live at 7:45. So if you have more questions, certainly come on over there and join me. Otherwise, I cover this and so much more on all of my platforms. Sign up for my newsletter. It is the best to get all of the information. Like I said, there's lots of free stuff, and even cooler, I'm going to be doing a workshop. There's a limited number of seats because, again, you get to ask me specific questions so that I can help you have amazing quality of life. Okay? Have a wonderful rest of your day, and your other homework is to go have an orgasm tonight. Bye, guys.